Joint meeting of the City Council, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, the Public Finance Authority, Public Utility Authority, Housing Authority, Paris Joint Powers Authority, and the Paris Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Paris. This Tuesday, October 26th at 6:34 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Rogers?
Here.
Councilmember Nava?
Here.
Councilmember Corona?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rapp?
Here.
Mayor Vargas?
Here, thank you. Okay, for those of you who are joining us on Zoom, if you'd like to make a public comment on the Zoom screen, please click on the participants button on the bottom of your screen. A list of participants will appear on the right side of the screen. At the bottom of the list, please click on the gray raised hand button. This will signal to the host that you would like to provide public comment, and you'll be added to the list. If you are using Zoom on your smartphone, tap on your screen. A new screen will pop up with the list of participants. Look for the raised hand button on the screen. And for those of you who are just simply dialing in on a phone line and you'd like to speak, hit *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to make a comment. And to remove yourself from making a comment, you can hit *9 again. We're going to move on to item 3, which is our invocation, which is going to be led by Pastor Angel Baez. And then after that, you remain standing for item 4, which is Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Council Member Rogers. Pastor Baez, are you with us? Don't see him on Zoom. Councilwoman Rogers, are you up to giving our invocation?
Always happy to pray.
Thank you.
Dear Lord, we ask you to bless the meeting tonight. We ask that you give the council wisdom to make the right decisions that are pleasing to you. We ask that you bless our first responders and all of our residents in the city, from our oldest senior to our youngest child, dear Lord. We ask that you put a hedge of protection around the city so that no more COVID can affect any more families. We ask all these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Please join me as we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, item 5 is our report on closed session. Mr. Dunn?
Thank you, Mayor. The council met in closed session on the one item noted on the agenda, and no reportable action was taken tonight.
Very good, thank you. Item 6 is presentation and announcements. 6A is a presentation to Esmeralda Hernandez, recipient of the Jamil Data Character Excellence Youth Award. Got a lot of information here, so bear with me and hopefully I get everything right. So just so everybody understands, the Jamil Data Character of Excellence comes out of the Riverside County, Riverside County Workforce Development. I have to mute my phone. And this is helping basically students who show, listen to there, but a crowd. They show exemplary character while overcoming significant life challenges such as poverty, child abuse, drug abuse, abandonment, homelessness, and much more. Despite all of these challenges the students face, they are determined to graduate from high school and pursue a post-secondary education. And gratefully, the Jamil Data Character of Excellence Scholarship Program awards the recipients $2,500 each. And when I say each, there's 10 recipients usually every year when they do this. And we have one of our very own here in Paris, Student Esmeralda Hernandez was one of our recipients this year. She's here with us tonight. Joining us tonight is Mr. Ming from Cloud Business, Jamil Data himself, the Vice Chair of the Riverside County Workforce Development, a very dear friend, close friend to Paris as well. We appreciate everything you do for our youth. Our very own town mayor, Mr. Joshua Nagar, who also serves as a board member for the workforce. If you crash your car, call Josh Nagar. Diana Sanchez is a youth opportunity center, right? Did I get that right? I got scribbling writing all over the place. She is the career coach for Miss Esmeralda. Along with Diana, she has her colleagues, Dulce Barrientos, she is the employment relations specialist, and we have their outreach coach, Jeremy Guillermo. Did I get it? Oh, and then we have the director of the Riverside County Workforce Development, Ms. Carrie Harmon is present. Thank you, Carrie, for being here. Did I miss anybody? Got it all? Okay, so I'm going to let Josh take over at this point, and you can share and spread the good wealth that you're going to do.
We appreciate this opportunity. My name is Joshua Nagar. I'm a member of the Workforce Development Board. I serve with Jamil. It's an honor, sir. Thank you. And what we're here to do is honor a champion that overcame challenges just like an Olympian would, and we're here to honor that champion spirit. And we're here to support you and let you know that you're loved and adored and supported. But we're also here to acknowledge the heroes that make this happen. The Workforce Development Board, it's nationwide. It oversees a lot of different programs. And one of those programs is the YOC program. And the YOC program is a big deal here in Paris, helping youth that go to our schools. I believe Esmeralda's one of her teachers was Malcolm Corona. So this is community-based, it's community-driven, and we're also looking to set a precedent here tonight. We're challenging every city, because every city picks a youth to receive this excellent award. We're challenging their business community to go above and beyond. And here in Paris is where it's first beginning. And all eyes are on Paris tonight, because this is the precedent we're setting. That's why we have all these people here tonight to honor Esmeralda, because we want to see this happen to every Youth Excellent awardee. So with that said, Esmeralda, I went to the Youth Excellence dinner. It was moving. The mayor was there. I believe Councilwoman Nava was there. City manager was there. Staff was there. It was so beautiful. And I remember your story moved me, but when you came out on stage, Esmeralda came out to a song by the Beatles. I think it's called I Get High with a Little Help from My Friends. And it hit me right in the heart, because Paris has a lot of Beatles fans. And I thought about 80%, as a matter of fact. All right. And I thought to myself, right then and there, we're going to do something for you. We're going to do something big. We're going to do something you want to do, something heartfelt. Right, the Beatles, right? So I went to the community, to Mr. Ming, and I said, what can we do for Esmeralda? And I asked Esmeralda, what can we do for you? Can we get you a laptop or something? And this little beautiful angel said, sure. And her hero contacted me with the laptop of her choice and the cover of her choice. And I just want to say one thing about this little angel. Me and Mr. Ming fully expected an Apple Macintosh to the face, okay? But she chose a Microsoft Pro 7, which is a beautiful machine. It's a humble machine, a beautiful machine, but that shows what kind of heart we're dealing with. And I really appreciate that. But I got some bad news. We didn't end up getting you the Pro 7, but there's good news. The Pro 8 just came out 2 weeks ago, okay? Yeah. Well, wait a minute, we didn't get it. No, I'm joking. So it was a little difficult, but my staff got online. Things are a little strange out there right now, but apparently you got one of the only Pro 8s in the world, okay? So the Pro 8 is a little better than the Pro 7 in my estimation, and it'll last you a lot longer. But wait, there's more. We got you the keyboard that's wireless that goes with the Pro 8, because I didn't envision you doing great things on the tablet, so we got you the keyboard. So it's like a super cape, you know? So, and you got the stylus. We got you the wireless mouse. We got you the cover that you wanted. And then we went ahead and got 2 sets of warranties, which is important in my world because I lose and break things. Okay, so if you break it, just grab a piece of it and go to the nearest Best Buy and you get another one. But it gets better, and if you don't know how to work it, which could happen, right? Someone will remote into your computer and assist you with whatever the problem is. So enjoy that. That's from our heart to you. And I just want to tell you, you know, I know you overcame a lot of challenges to become the champion that you are today. And I know you had a lot of support. But I want you to lock in this feeling. The feeling that when you were on stage at the Excellence Dinner, the feeling right now where the whole county and the mayor and the council are honoring you. We're giving you a gesture of honor and accolade and recognizing your championshipness. We're recognizing that we love and support you, and you can expect that from your community. You can expect that from every day of your life. So I want to challenge you to do something for me. I want you to remember this feeling. I want you to remember this feeling for the rest of your life. And I want you to always let this feeling be the guide of how you make decisions as you go through life. And if you ever believe you are separated from this feeling of love and support and honor, just close your eyes and breathe and remember this feeling. This is you. This is your birthright. You shall never be separated from this feeling. And let this light guide you on your path for the rest of your days. So do me a favor and remember this feeling. And if you get bold, ask for more. So with that, Ming, Mr. Ming, thank you. Please present Esmeralda with her gifts. And I'd like to invite Esmeralda to speak from her heart and Jamil to thank you.
I'm sorry. Good evening, and Arnold Mayor and City Council and county's officials. I want to take the time tonight to thank all of you for this opportunity. I'm so grateful, and it's an honor to be here. I believe in life we are lined up to be stars and follow a path. My path started with the YOC, and that's when I started my journey. With the assistance of the Paris YOC staff, I was able to start shining as I could only dream of doing. When I was in my darkest time, I found a family that I could talk to about me with the toughest times. I'm standing here today in front of everybody. I'm so grateful for the Jamil data for starting a scholarship to help the youth. Mr. Joshua Neri for making that possible tonight, in honor with the mayor of Paris and the councilmen here today. Hope other Paris youth are lucky as I am tonight.
Thank you, Esmeralda. Very nice. Jamil, did you want to say a few words?
If I may, Mayor Vargas, council members, City Manager Miramontes, thank you for the opportunity to do this at a council meeting and to let me say a few words real quickly. As Joshua mentioned, this is a federally funded public, our nation's public workforce system. And there are 550 local workforce boards around the country. Riverside County is just one of those 550. And there are 50 governor's workforce boards. And I also sit on the executive committee of the Governor's Workforce Board, where I have served as chair in the past. And we get funding to help dislocated workers that are out of work, and we get funding for youth. It's congressionally funded through the Department of Labor. So these 550 workforce boards they operate 2,200 America's Job Centers around the country and 2,900 youth opportunity centers like the one you have in Paris. And in Riverside County, we have 6 youth opportunity centers, and we have almost 700 youth that are enrolled in these 6 centers. And every year we select 10 youth from those centers based on criteria like you mentioned, and then we honor them with the $2,500 scholarships, and it is an honor to do that. The other thing we do, and Carrie and I, every year we take a group to Washington, D.C. with us for 5 days. And is it okay if I tell them? She was selected, but she said she doesn't want to fly, so she didn't go. So next year, we're going to get a car and drive her.
Hey, be careful now, you're speaking open here, it's recorded.
But when they go to Washington DC, the purpose is to get in front of members of Congress.
Right.
So our senators see us. We visit 4 or 5 members in the House. Every member loves talking to the youth. I go 5 or 6 times a year because I also sit on the National Workforce Board. And every time I'm there, they always ask me, when are you bringing the youth back? That's our favorite visit. So we take them on a tour of the Pentagon, the White House if it's open, the Library of Congress, the Supreme Court, the Capitol. We take them to the Martin Luther King Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, the Air Force Memorial, the National Cathedral. It's a 5-day whirlwind tour, and it's life-altering for these youth, and we want to continue to expand this program. So we created this 501c3 nonprofit at the County Workforce Board. It's called Riverside County Works. It's a 501c3. That's how we raise the money to give the scholarships. So by what you're doing today, you're allowing us to promote more of this, and we've taken it upon ourselves to promote this aggressively so we can raise more money so we can help more youth. And by the way, the Riverside County Workforce Development Board is a 27-member board, and the board members are appointed by the county supervisors. And I want to thank you again, Mayor Vargas, council members, for allowing us this opportunity, and congratulations. And God bless everybody, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna come down now. We're gonna come down, the council and I will take a photograph with everybody.
Right where you guys were, and then we'll put the council towards the middle, put the family in the middle, council, no, your face exactly, and then take a picture. Get to be front and center right there.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, we actually need to come in a little bit. Turn. Maybe make 2 rows. Yeah, we're actually going over. And Josh here. Yeah, scoot in just a little bit more right there.
If I kneel down, I can't get back up.
You're very kind. Thank you so much.
Josh, don't quite leave, we might want to make a few comments. Jamil, hold up for a few comments. Give us a couple of minutes here. I'm gonna allow for council to make any comments they want to make any before you guys take off. Mayor Pro Tem Rab,
Yes, I'll defer from my colleagues for now.
okay.
Let them make a comment.
Councilwoman Ava?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, this is such a great opportunity to recognize our youth. I feel like as we get older, we forget what it was like to, try to figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And just to let you know, Esmeralda, you'll never have it figured out. So just get ready for the ride. But all in all, I want to let you know that any obstacles you're going through, it's just building character. And we're so proud that you're overseeing them and overcoming them. And we look forward to seeing all the amazing things you're going to accomplish. And I know that you'll come back and let me know that you've overcame your fear of heights and flying. So all in all, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. And thank you all for the recognition. It's an honor.
Councilman Corona?
Big congratulations to you, Esmeralda, for all your accomplishments. I know there's challenges and many of our youth here in Paris, and it seems like you've been able to overcome them and continue to do it with the help of support from so many people. I only ask that when you reach your goals, you come back to the community and try to help out people that were very similar to you. And a big thank you to all those that supported her as well, and for supporting all the youth. To the gentleman from Canna Cloud, big thank you for giving back. There's so many of the Beatle fans are giving back to the community as well too. So thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues. Congratulations on receiving the award. And want to thank all the government and public and private partners for making this happen. It was a very moving tribute from all the partners. And good luck, Esmeralda. If you don't want to fly, maybe consider an Amtrak or just hopping in a car and going. So congratulations.
Okay, my turn. Same thing, basically. We all, right, by the time it gets to me, you guys all covered everything. But I truly want to thank Carrie for your department and your involvement, Jamil Data, Mr. Nagar, for constantly contributing to our city and to our youth. And Josh, you've been, you spearheaded this project, and I truly do appreciate that. And according to Jamil Data, Paris once again has set the bar high, and I think there's 2 other cities now that are piggybacking, doing similar things with their recipients. So kudos to Paris and kudos to you, Esmeralda, for doing such an outstanding job. And I hope you continue your education and do the best that you can to better your life as well. And just remember this day, like Josh said, just remember this day, and you can do whatever you want. And Josh, November 5th is my birthday. And I don't need a Pro 8, but an e-bike would be good. So. Anyway, thank you again, and thanks everybody from the Youth Opportunity Center for being here, for supporting Esmeralda as well. Who? Rita, did you want, I'm sorry, we have she's not here with us, but she's here on Zoom. Councilwoman Rogers, do you want to share a few words?
I certainly do. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to congratulate Esmeralda for doing a wonderful job. And I know you're at a pivotal point in your life now, and you're going to enjoy many, many more awards as you go forward, and just enjoy each and every moment, because every moment is special. And as you go on with your education, take time out to have a little bit of fun. And I look forward to hearing more great things that you've accomplished throughout your life. And have a blessed evening. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for sharing those words. Congratulations again. Okay, moving on. Item 7 is our Youth Advisory Committee communications, which will be given by our president, Ms. Savannah Herrera.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and city staff. YEC's first park cleanup was a success. This took place at Fossfield and City Hall campus on Saturday, October 16th. The YEC and about 25 community members worked together to keep our parks clean. Our next park cleanup will be Saturday, November 20th at Skydive Park. We invite the community and council to join us. Be sure to bring comfy clothes and shoes. YEC's annual Trunk or Treat will take place this Friday, October 29th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Paris Depot. YEC is excited to partner with the Paris Valley Historical Museum to create an exciting and safe environment for all trick-or-treaters. Don't forget to dress up in your favorite costume. For more information, please contact the Statler Youth Center at 951-435-7230. Open Mic Night is back. Come join us on Friday, November 5th at the Statler Youth Center from 7 to 9 p.m. to showcase your talents. We encourage teens to come out, sing, dance, share poetry, and enjoy some refreshments. Open Mic Night is a judge-free zone, so don't be shy. As stated in prior updates, October is National Bully Prevention Month. Did you know that bullying also occurs online? It is estimated that 95% of teenagers in the United States have readily available access to the internet through their mobile devices. About 60% of those teenagers have witnessed cyberbullying, yet stayed silent. It is crucial for young adults to report cyberbullying to put an end to this vicious cycle. As a community, we should work together and towards speaking up for those affected, as this could save a child's life. Finally, YEC would like to remind everyone to please follow us on social media at Paris YEC for more updates, upcoming events. YEC discussed today, feel free to dial the Statler Youth Center at 951-435-7230. YEC would like to remind everyone at this time to remain home if you feel ill, to continue to stay safe and healthy through these times. This concludes our update, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 8 is our public comment. This is where any member of the public can make a comment on any item that's not listed on our agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Deidre Corona.
Hello, I'm a resident of Paris. I reside off of Nuevo Road and near Wilson. And since the pandemic has started, I know everyone is trying their best. But in our neighborhood, and I don't know if it's a problem in other areas of Paris, but we aren't getting the street sweeping as we're supposed to. And I think in most neighborhoods, as well as ours, it's posted from 8 to 3 the day after they pick up the trash. But what's happened, you know, with the problem, they're having problems, I know, at CR&R with getting truck drivers. And so what's happening, almost every week we're getting our trash, they'll call us and let us know, we're gonna pick up your trash tomorrow. And then this past week, it was 2 days late. Some of the, you know, like they'll pick up one trash one day and another trash the other day. Well, this past week, it was, one of the cans was 2 days late. So, but what's happening is sometimes we're not getting the street swept at all. And which means that you gotta keep your car out of the street all day. Or they will come, but because everyone's got their trash there, they just go down the middle of the street, and frankly, a lot of times they leave kind of a trail of sand and leaves, and, you know, so it actually looks worse than it did without, you know, any street sweeping. But, you know, so I don't know, I'm thinking maybe if we could change the date or, you know, of the street sweeping, so it's not the day after. That might be an option, or at least that they call us and let us know we're not gonna be sweeping today. You know, the same way that they let us know we're not gonna be picking up your trash, leave it out. Maybe they can call and let us know, because I know I'm not the only one that has more than 2 cars, and it's really a hassle. It sounds like a small issue, but it is a big problem to keep your car and, you know, change out cars, and one person's coming, you got to change out the other car, and there's some people on our street that have more than 3, you know, they have 5 cars. So I'm just wondering if we're not getting the service. A lot of us have just resorted to just sweeping in front of our homes anyway, but if maybe the city could talk to them about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Guerrero.
Randy Segovia. Randy.
Council members, Honorable Mayor, my name is Randy Segovia, I've been a member, I've lived in Riverside, in Paris for 15 years now, and things could be better. One of the issues that I want to bring up, I talked to public safety a few weeks ago, right there on the corner of Dunlap at San Jacinto. A year and a half ago, we had an accident where 2 youths were killed. During the night, it's very difficult when you turn down Dunlap to see the street. And I requested that they put a reflection light where you could drive by, and when you're coming to Dunlap, you could see a light. You could see the reflection light. And I also request that they put across the street a street light because it's so dark out there. So I requested that, and I wanted to bring it to the City Council's attention on this matter. The other matter I'm going to bring out, and it's not a pleasant one, but I have an article here from the Los Angeles Times dated October 11th, that the sheriff under fire for ties to the far right. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Jekyll was paying members in 2014 to the Oath Keeper, a far-right anti-government group whose ranked and participated in the Capitol insurrection on January 6th, prompted some local leaders to call for his resignation. Bianco acknowledged his former membership, but had not denounced the group. J.T. Tabb, a fellow with the George Washington University program on extremists, posted on the Twitter the leakage of Bianco, who once was a due paying member. McNabb on Wednesday also specifically looked for Bianco's name of tens of thousands of people on the listed part became the listed statement that he made on a podcast, the ROS Roundup, describing himself as the last line of defense from tyrant government overthrow. Last month, Bianco announced that he would not enforce the vaccine mandate for the department, invoking an overreact of the sheriff said, "I am certain not an anti-vax, but I am anti-vaccine for me," that's report. Bianco obviously was outspoken critic for the coronavirus restriction that has soared cases and has vowed not to enforce the stay-at-home order ordered by our governor of California. Bianco in the statement said the opposed to the Constitution, Bianco in the
Mr.
statement
Segovia?
said-
Your time's up, sir.
Okay.
Sorry.
So just real quick, I'm hoping that the city council will take a stand on this matter, and I hope our mayor will take his leadership to denounce our sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That is all.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak at this time? IT, do we have anybody online?
No, sir.
Okay, move on. Item 9 is our approval of minutes. 9A is a consideration to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on October 12th, 2021 of the City Council, successor agency to the redevelopment agency, and all those listed on our agenda. If there are no comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve. We have a motion by Councilwoman Nava, second by Mayor Pro Tem Rab. Please call a roll call vote.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rab,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas,
Yes,
5-0, motion approved.
thank you. Item 10 is our consent calendar. Consent calendar items are normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. We will have public comment and we'll limit it to 3 minutes. Council, does anybody have anything they want to pull or make a comment on? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Well, do we have any public comment on this?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Very good. I have a motion by Councilman Corona, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call a roll call vote.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 11 is our public hearings. 11A is consideration to adopt proposed resolution numbers next in order regarding annexation of PM 37760 to Community Facilities District CFD 2001-3, the North Paris Public Safety District. This will be introduced by our Director of Finance, Mr. Ernie Reyna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the City Council. For this particular item, I'm going to have our consultant from Wildan, Dulce Bernard. She'll be making the presentation for us.
Members, these two resolutions on the agenda are for the annexation of property for project PM 37760, which is owned by Brazen Group, into the Public Safety CFD 2001-3. At the meeting on September 14, 2021, the City Council adopted a resolution of intention declaring the intention to annex certain territory to the district and setting the date for the public hearing for tonight. Therefore, we request that the city opens a public hearing on the annexation. If there are no protests, adopt a resolution calling for a special election. The property owner has waived the waiting period, so we may conduct the special election tonight. Finally, once the election is conducted, adopt a resolution declaring the results of the election, ordering the annexation, and direct the recording of the notice of special tax lien. I will be here if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, anybody have any questions or comments? Don't see any. All right, we're going to open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak on this item?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
All right, we'll close public comment or public hearing, and I'll call for a motion on the first resolution. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rabb, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call roll call vote.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you open up the ballot, please?
Community Facilities District Number 2001-3, North Paris Public Safety of the City of Paris, Annexation Number 44, Special Tax and Appropriations Limit Election. The ballot is marked yes.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll call for a motion on the second resolution. I have a motion by Councilwoman Nava, second by Mayor Pro Tem Rabb. Please call roll call vote.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, item 11B is consideration to adopt proposed resolution numbers next in order of the City Council of the City of Paris and the Paris Joint Powers Authority approving the financing and issuance of bonds associated with improvement area number 2 of CFD number 2018-1. That's the Green Valley West Elementary to finance certain public facilities and fees. This district is located along the south side of Green Valley Parkway, west of Marietta Road. And this will be introduced by Director of Finance, Mr. Ernie Reyna. I keep saying Director of Finance. This is
I'll
our
answer to it, don't worry.
Deputy City Manager, Mr. Ernie Reyna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. For this particular item, I'm going to have our consultant, Rick Brandis, of the consulting firm Brandis Tallman, go ahead and make this presentation. So come on up, Rick.
Good evening,
That's
Mr.
a
Mayor.
tough problem when you're tall, I get it.
Not that tall either.
You can raise it up more, though, because we can hear you a lot clearer. There you go, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'm glad you think 5'9" is tall. Thank you.
When you're 5'4", everybody's tall.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Rick Brandis of the firm Brandis Tallman. We're a division of Oppenheimer and Company. We've been working with the city for 4 years, and I'll walk through the PowerPoint with you. Again, this is a presentation on CFD 2018-1, Green Valley, West Elm, Special Tax Bonds 2021 series. To move forward, do I hit up? Arrow up. There we go. Okay. Thank you. Prior city council actions regarding CFD 2018-1, on June 12, 2018, council adopted a resolution of intention and a resolution to incur bonded indebtedness. On July 31, 2018, the council adopted a resolution of formation, resolution determining the necessity to incur bonded indebtedness, adopted a resolution declaring results of a special election, and adopted special tax ordinance. An overview of the CFD is comprised of improvement areas number 1 and 2. In November of 2020, bonds were sold for improvement area number 1. Improvement area number 2 is made up of 37.65 net developable acres, generally located along the south side of Green Valley Parkway, west of Murrieta Road. The makeup of the development is 163 single-family detached homes planned within improvement area number 2. The development is being marketed as Seasons at Green Valley Ranch. As of August 30th, 2021, which is the date of value in the appraisal report, which is among the documents you have in your packet, 66 homes had been completed and conveyed to individual homeowners, 3 production homes, and 4 model homes have been completed. 38 production homes were in various stages of construction, and 52 lots were in finished lot condition. Little update here, as of October 15th, 81 homes have been completed and conveyed to homeowners. As of June 30th, 2021, building permits had been issued for 112 units, all of which are classified as developed property for fiscal year 22-23 special tax levy. An update here, as of October 15th, 131 units have been classified as developed. The appraised assessed value is $47,175,361. Sample tax bill for fiscal year 21-22. The important thing here is the estimated effective tax rate, which is at 1.87%. It's below that 2%. So for tonight, discussion of council actions includes City Council resolution authorizing the issuance of bonded indebtedness, permitting the purchase of such bonds by the authority, and approving certain documents. In addition, the authority resolution authorizing the issuance of authority bonds to purchase local obligation bonds and approving certain documents, which requires a public hearing, which we're doing tonight. Overview of the city and authority resolutions. The district desires to accomplish the financing of certain public capital improvements through the issuance of bonds in an aggregate amount not to exceed $5 million. Negotiated sale of the local obligation bonds to the authority through the commitment agreement and purchase contract for purchase and sale of the local obligation bonds. So a review of the documents for approval tonight will include the fiscal agent agreement, the commitment agreement and purchase contract for purchase and sale of the local obligation bonds, indenture of trust, bond purchase agreement, the preliminary official statement, continuing disclosure agreement, and the appraisal report. Each of these documents with a brief description is provided in the staff report. So the proposed bonds will be non-rated secured by liens recorded against property in improvement area number 2. Bonds will have a debt service reserve fund equal to 1 year of debt service. The bonds have an estimated value to lien ratio of 11.69 to 1 based on an estimated par amount or bond issue size of 3.71 million. Par size of the bonds will not exceed 5 million. True interest costs will not go above 5%, and the underwriter's discount will not exceed 2%. Final maturity will be September 1, 2051. According to our latest numerical model, based on the market as of October 20th, the par amount of the bonds is closer to 3.5 million, and the proceeds of the bonds going into the project fund is roughly 3,453,000. The proceeds will be used to reimburse the developer for completed city infrastructure and fees per the funding agreement, pay for the cost of issuance, fund the debt service reserve fund. So the staff recommends City Council and the authority to adopt the resolution authorizing the issuance of bonded indebtedness, finance public facilities, permitting the purchase of such bonds by the Paris Joint Powers Authority. Adopt a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of the authority bonds to purchase local obligation bonds issued by the district. And then approving the fiscal agent agreement, the indenture, preliminary official statement, the commitment agreement and purchase contract for purchase and sale of local obligation bonds, the bond purchase agreement and continuing disclosure report, and the appraisal report. And I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Very good, thank you. Council, anybody have any questions before I open up the public hearing? I don't see anybody waving their hands. Madam Clerk, I'm going to open up the public hearing. Do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Very good. We'll close the public hearing. And
Thank you.
I'll call for a motion on the 2 resolutions. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rab, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call roll call vote.
Councilmember Rogers. Councilmember Nava.
Yes.
Councilmember Corona.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rab.
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
Corona, Rab, Vargas, Nava, yes. Rogers, absent.
Thank you. Item 11C is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order, deny the specific plan amendment SPA 20-05180 and conditional use permit, also known as CUP, 20-05100 for the proposed Markham Street truck and trailer yard on the north side of Markham Street, approximately 620 feet east of Paris Boulevard. And this will be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor. This item will be presented by our planning consultant, Chantel Powers.
Thank you, council members. As the mayor just introduced, the project or the item before you is a specific plan amendment to allow a zone change within the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan and a conditional use permit to allow a truck and trailer parking facility. As you can see from the zoning and vicinity map, the project site is located directly adjacent to the existing Penske warehouse and across the street from the Amazon warehouse and several other industrial warehouses in the area. Additionally, you can see that the project is proposing to change the zoning designation from business professional office to light industrial. So the left side of your page shows the existing map within the Paris Valley specific plan, Commerce Center specific plan, and then the proposed change to light industrial. In addition to truck parking, there will be a 470 square foot guard shack, and the facility will be open 24 hours a day for truck and trailer parking, and is secured by a 14-foot wall adjacent to Markham Street and a 10-foot security wall on the west and north sides, and then proposes an 8-foot wrought iron fence in between the parking facility and the adjacent Penske warehouse. The project has been designed to meet the city's design and architectural standards, as the applicant has proposed a stick-built construction rather than a modular building for the office space. Given the consistency with previous zone changes, specifically of the property directly to the south of this project site, and consistency with other light industrial land uses in the surrounding area, as well as the general plan goals to expand industry and support industrial uses in the area by providing overflow parking, as well as parking for independent truck drivers in the region. The Planning Commission initially made a motion to approve the project, but the motion failed as it did not have enough votes. So an alternate motion was then made to recommend denial to the City Council for the project, citing the loss of business professional office zoning designation as a major concern, as well as the thought that there is available land in the city that would not require a zone change for the proposed use. Therefore, per the Planning Commission's action, staff is carrying forth the recommendation that the City Council adopt a resolution to deny the specific plan amendment and conditional use permit for the Markham Street truck and trailer yard. But alternatively, at the council's discretion, you can also adopt a resolution to adopt the mitigated negative declaration and approve the CUP, and introduce a first reading of the ordinance to approve the specific plan amendment. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions. The applicant is also here and also has a presentation if the City Council would like to open questions to myself or the applicant. Feel free to do so now.
Thank you, Chantel. Council, before I open up the public hearings, does anybody have any questions for clarifications or comments? Yes. Councilman Corona?
Okay, for questions, I don't know why this- excuse me. Will it be open to private truck drivers, like say a personal truck driver in the city that owns his own truck here in the city of Paris and wants to park at a location, or will it be kind of contracted out to maybe some of the warehouses that need extra space?
There will be a mixture of both.
Okay. Okay. And then, so the applicant wants to keep it a truck lot.
Yes.
Right? But as soon as we rezone it to industrial, what does this stop them? Is it conditioned that they have to keep it a truck lot for so many years? Or can they just say, yeah, I want to do it for a truck lot, and then a year from now, he sells it to a warehouse developer and makes a lot more money than he would as a truck lot?
There is the potential for that to happen. However, the site is only 9.54 acres, less than 10 acres, which is generally too small for what most industrial users are looking for these days. But that is a possibility.
Okay, but coupled with that area, I wonder if we could go to the map real quick. Is that possible?
Yes, I think we can.
If I could just interject in quickly, the applicant, I believe, if you can ask him, he would be willing to put a covenant that this project would be a truck terminal.
For how long?
Indefinitely, if the council wishes to do that. But it's not currently in the condition. I just want to note that.
So it's not conditioned that right now?
Correct.
Now, why was that not conditioned from staff?
I I just thought about it recently, and so we could include it. I just wanted to put a note for that.
Okay. Wonder if we could go to the other map that shows the zoning for the surrounding area? Right there, that one right there. Okay, so in 2018, we voted, and it was a 3-2 vote at the time, I remember, with the area down south to put that as light industrial. And then the argument I heard at that time was, yeah, but there's still business park right there up north. And then now we're looking to rezone another portion, and it's just a matter of time before it's going to be rezoned. I think we could all see that whole business park is going to be rezoned eventually. I don't know if it's going to be, sooner or later, but it will be eventually. Okay. So there's 10 acres, and then but coupled with that other location, that could potentially be a decent sized warehouse, right? Even though we're not talking about that right now.
The potential is always there.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's all the questions I have right now. Thank you.
I don't see anybody else in the queue.
I have a question.
Councilwoman Other?
Thank you, Mayor. This was asked during the Planning Commission, but I'm wondering if there's been a change in the answer. This area that's BPO converting to LI, are we looking to replenish that in any other area in this area where we're turning an LI into a BPO?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I have a question. Are there any other facilities that allow truck parking within either the city limits or in the city sphere of influence, which would include Mead Valley and the Good Hope area?
I believe the applicant actually did develop a similar site within the city limits. I'll let him speak to that a little bit more as well, and I think that's part of his presentation as well.
Okay. And then one other question. You mentioned that there's a pump site that EMWD is placing just to the north of this project. Do we
That's
have any schematics or any drawings of how large that will be? Or?
City engineer may.
I've seen plans for it's like a 2-acre site, and they're going to put, landscaping along the front and a wall consistent with, I think, the other development in the area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, before I make my comments, I'm going to allow the applicant to come up and address the council.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and council members, for giving me this opportunity to present. I wanted to quickly answer a couple questions before I forget them. Councilmember Corona's question, Kenneth had mentioned it to me. We did a project, my family did a project on Heacock right at the JPA several years back. We still own and operate that location. We have no intention of selling this off, so I'm absolutely open to doing a 20-year restriction on no warehouses on this property, or longer if necessary.
Let me cut you off there. That other project that you're talking about is in the March JPA. It's not in the city limits of Paris.
Correct, I'm sorry,
So the
yes.
answer to the question that one of my colleagues asked, this would be the first truck, scratch that, that's a bad word, a truck trailer parking lot.
In the city of Paris.
In the city of Paris.
Correct. That was actually on the JPA.
Right.
But so I did want to answer that question, that we're not looking to sell this project. We will operate it. We're a family business, and we have no problems doing a restriction on warehousing. That's not any intention of ours there. How do I click forward again? Front arrow? Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So just a little bit about us. A small family-run business based in Southern California, mainly in the Inland Empire. We've been doing this for about 20 years with fewer than 5 employees. She covered most of this, so it's a 9.5-acre, fully improved truck terminal on Markham Street, just east of Paris Boulevard. It does not abut Paris Boulevard. It's several hundred yards away from Paris Boulevard. It's on the inside of Markham Street. This would be a state-of-the-art paved in concrete yard, and that just gives you a little bit of a sense of the long-term what we're looking at. It's not an asphalt yard. It's full LED lights, paved in concrete, so that we intend to be here for a long time with that. Surrounded by block wall. We're also going green with all of these yards, and we're building in the infrastructure for electrical recharging stations as tractors get there and for the future. again, one of the things that were brought up was this is going to be fully screened with a 14-foot wall on Markham Street and landscaping, and for 100 feet back on both the west and east side on Markham Street to make sure it's completely blocked from any view on the street. Then it goes down to a 10-foot block wall all the way around, except to a wrought iron fence that's existing in between our property and the next door warehouse. So this just shows a little bit of the issues in the area. Obviously, in the Inland Empire, there's a lot of warehousing. I want to be very clear that this is not a change to an industrial zone to build a warehouse. We are actually a solution to some of the warehouses in the area and a lot of the trucks on the street. We did it at the JPA. It worked out really well at the JPA, and the commissioners there and the airport has appreciated, along with the city of Moreno Valley, because it's in the sphere of influence of the city of Moreno Valley, in how it helps to pull some of these trucks off the street when there's not enough parking for that. The other issue is that oftentimes we'll see without these yards, we get the undeveloped, unsecured, and often unpermitted parking lots that just pop up illegally around the area. There's several of these in the city and surrounding cities, and oftentimes they come in under residential zones. I just took a few pictures. Oh, I forgot to. Took a few pictures to get an idea. The difference between a yard like this and what we're doing is fully landscaped, paved, walled, lit, with security potentially at the yard 24 hours a day, versus what you see here. So the aesthetics of the property, along with the contribution in RBBD fees and infrastructure in the area, is a significant difference. On the next page, we talk about the Hecock example that we did at March Air Reserve Base, which we've discussed a little bit already. The site helped alleviate a significant amount of truck traffic in the local area. The airport director has provided a letter of recommendation. Gary Gosliga provided a letter of recommendation. It's on the next page here. As you can see, he's the director of the airport at the JPA, and he was so happy with the project and what it did that he provided that also. On the next page, you'll see just a couple pictures and the difference of comparing this. This is that on Hecock at the JPA. This is the yard versus the few pictures that you saw earlier. You see the tilt-up wall with landscaping, lighting, and fully paved interiors. Furthermore, the yards all have bathrooms both for drivers and employees, and it's something as simple as a trash can. I know it's kind of funny that I'm even bringing this up, but unfortunately, when you don't have the bathrooms and the trash cans and everything else, that stuff ends up on the city streets. So this is the solution in the sense for the need that we have here in the city. This next picture on the zone change, I understand that, again, there's been some hesitation in the past on zone changes, and I just wanted to get an idea for the council on this BPO square. It's the only pink square completely surrounded by warehouses, and just to the north, there's 3 additional warehouses coming in. So it's really one of those situations where it's not near residential, and it's completely surrounded by industrial, so it is the highest and best use. In this full square, there's about 42 acres, and not a single parcel has been developed under the BPO. The next picture also just gives you a bigger area to get an idea of it's all industrial in the entire area. One thing that was mentioned during the Planning Commission, and I didn't get a chance to speak, but it was alternate properties in North Paris for industrial uses that we could do this by right. So I have literally combed every street north of Ramona Expressway, and there is not a single parcel that is not already spoken for in the development pipeline for a warehouse above 2 acres that could accommodate this, because they all are either occupied or they are in the pipeline to develop a warehouse. The only properties that are available are BPO greater than 2 acres. There's a couple small pieces, about 1.7 acres, but those wouldn't work. The other one there is at the entrance of the runway, but that's also in the crash zone, and it's my understanding now that there is forthcoming a plan for a warehouse there too. In addition to that, I just wanted to discuss there's over $1 million in RBBD fees that will be paid to the city for this project, and we are also extending the line D for the storm drain, which is a cost of over $500,000. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is that I just want council to know that we're not here building a, for lack of a better word, overnight parking lot. This is something that we're invested in the city for many years to come to provide a solution to a problem here, and we're putting in the dollars in advance to build something that the city would be proud of. Sorry, I went the wrong way. This is, there was a letter from Sabrina Chavez. We've also been a part of the city, and during COVID, contributing to the seniors in the city, and I just wanted to reemphasize my family's intention of being here in the city for years to come, and not to build this, sell it off, or, like you said, flip it to a warehouse developer next week as soon as it's converted. And that's why I have no problem with doing an indefinite restriction on warehousing. This is just for a truck terminal to provide a solution. And the next page is just a couple other sponsors that we have in the city with youth camps and otherwise. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nasir. If you just hang tight there in case there are some questions. I'm going to allow time. I don't know, Councilwoman Roberts, did you have any comments?
No, but as chair of Orange Joint Powers Authority, I was part of the review of the other project, and it's doing remarkable in the city of Moreno Valley. I know many trucks have parked on residential streets, and we've had people come up and complain about them impacting their neighborhoods. So I feel this is the right solution in the area that it's located to keep the parks out of residential streets and in the neighborhoods and in a secure location that is actually well guarded and with the block wall, so there's not very much visibility. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. IT, can we put back the screen, the presentation from staff with our map? That one's fine. So I just want clarification from staff. So from the client's project going west towards Redlands, oops. I looked at it backwards. So
East
I
is
thi- I just answered-
Redlands, west is
no,
Paris.
I don't, I fixed my own question. So everything else is gonna be PO all the way up to Paris Boulevard,
That's
correct?
correct. Yes.
So we're talking about something on the interior side. So a few comments. This project is surrounded by light industrial all around. The design is very nice. I'm not a fan of BPO being behind, if you will, set back from Paris Boulevard. I'm glad we have the one up along Paris Boulevard. Other projects down for a little bit south of Ramona Expressway, they have to hire a person with signs for their BPO location because they're set back about 300-foot buffer with like a store. In fact, it's Paris Storage, I don't know the name of it, but they're hidden behind a Paris Storage facility, and you don't even know there's BPO back there. So to have this back there is fine for me because you're still going to have BPO along the frontage. I spoke to a lot of constituents of mine and of my consuls, or our colleagues, I should say. A lot of folks are supportive of this, mainly because we have a lot of owner-operators, if that's the proper terminology, that they're their own truck drivers, and we see all over our city. There is no place to park these trucks. Some of them are parking them in residential areas. I'm sure code enforcement is tired of me sending in complaints myself personally because they're not just the tractor. Sometimes it's a tractor and the trailer taking up a whole block. So people are happy to support this change of a zone to be able to allow for a truck terminal. Is that what you're calling it? Truck terminal? It's going to assist our owners big time because there is no place for them to park it, and they have to go to other. If they don't go to other cities, they're leaving them in our city streets, and that's not good. You mentioned that, and I'm glad you brought that up, that littering and cleaning. So one of my big pet peeves right now is in the north end is behind the Shell and McDonald's and Papa John's and all that. There's a row of all these trucks illegally parked there. And I wanted to stop and turn to my phone camera, but that's not my job to be doing that. But I just watched this guy cleaning out his truck after he woke up from being there overnight. And he's just sweeping everything out onto the roadway or access road behind Papa John's. Plastic bottles, papers, debris, you name it. And I thought, wow. So his facility you're talking about having restrooms and trash cans and receptacles, it's perfect. The only thing you're lacking is probably a car wash, a truck wash. So I have to support this because of all the constituents that are tired of seeing trucks throughout our city parked as well too. And I think this will be, it's ideal. Yeah, it's going to be a small zone change, but it's set back. You're still going to have BPO in front along Paris Boulevard, so they don't have to hire someone to be holding a sign showing that they're there. So thanks for the presentation, Mr. Nasir. If no one else has any questions for the client, Councilman Corona.
Okay. I do want to thank you for your presentation, Mr. Nasir. You brought a lot of information on here, but I did have a question though. With the mitigation, are you going to have mitigation measures on idling trucks? Because with reports and they seem to have the most emissions for the work that they're doing.
Yeah, I believe on the environmental report, there are some restrictions on idling trucks. I can't remember them off the top of my head on the environmental report that there were restrictions on those. Yeah.
Yeah, in this type of facility, trucks don't need to idle, they just park and leave. So it's not like a typical warehouse where they might need to plug in and unload the material. So it's a little different. So this type of situation doesn't really apply in a truck parking facility.
Okay. So the idling is going to be minimal. I mean, just turning on your truck, warming up the engine or something. Okay.
Sorry, just to clarify, you might have in your mind like a picture of a travel stop that's 50 acres, and you've got these overnight drivers that are just spending overnight there and leaving and idling their trucks and running. That's not what this will be. This is serving the local community here.
Okay.
So it's not where, you have these out-of-state drivers that are sitting here and sleeping here for a night.
So these people are going to be taking their cars there. They get in their trucks,
Either
leave,
take their
do the job,
cars
come back.
and flip, or if there's a container, they'll take the truck, pick up the container, and leave. They're not
Okay.
going to be on site, resting on site for long.
Okay. Okay, and then my question for the staff, Mr. Nasir, which I do trust him. He said that he went over the whole north of Paris and tried to find 10 acres, and he couldn't find 10 acres that would fit in that zone for industrial that would fit what he's trying to do. Are there any 10 acres that would be available?
I can't speak to whether there are 10-acre properties. I can't speak to whether those properties are already accounted for or if the owner is willing to sell. I wouldn't be able to tell you that, but I know that Mr. Nasir has looked into that.
Okay, and then feel free, go ahead.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I know this all too well. There was one 14 or 16 acre industrially zoned that would be allowed by right property in the city. It's actually in the south end, right by the Paris of Gates and I think it's Mapes or Mountain. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, I didn't think that would be a good location. It's right near residential. You're taking trucks to drive 6 miles down into the south end of Paris, which is not far from residential. It didn't make sense to me for the pollution and all the rest. So we didn't even chase that site, especially because even though it would have been allowed by right in the industrial zone, it didn't make sense, and I can't hold the straight face and say it did make sense, where this one is completely surrounded by industrial in the north end. That was the only one that was, there was 10 acres, like I said, in the crash zone on Harley Knox, right before the runway, but that's a crash zone, so you can't fully develop it. There's restrictions from the airport.
Okay. I think I just want to follow up with my comments. I do absolutely agree that we've had residents come here and say, hey, we want to find a place for truck parking, which does make sense. And I do agree, it's a very nice project, and I trust that you're going to do a great job with it if it does get approved. I'm not going to fault you for bringing this project up to us. I think your heart's in the right place, and I think ultimately you want to expand your business, and it sounds like it's been useful and successful. But my issue that I have is that we've seen the rezone, and as my colleague Nava stated, we always go from business park to light industrial, and you can see with what Mr. Nasir was saying that we seem to be running out. And we're running out of land over there, and it's just a matter of time before we're all out of business park. I foresee that this rest of business park is going to be gone within the next 10 years. This location. So for that reason, I'm just not for the rezone change. I do like the project; it's a good project, but I'm just not for the rezone change. And I'm going to side with our planning commission and not wanting to approve this. That's all the comments for me. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Up to public comment?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, let me open up public comment now. Everybody had a chance to speak. Mr. Nasir, you guys can feel free to sit down for now. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this matter? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll go back to any comments from the council. Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to talk to me?
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone for staff for working with Mr. Nasir, and thank the Planning Commission for vetting this project. I'd be prepared to support moving forward with the original staff recommendation to approve the project. If there is a covenant included that would necessitate this remaining a truck parking area for the next either 20 years or indefinite, I do think that the Planning Commission was right to initially deny it based on not having that covenant in the report. I would make a motion that we approve the initial project with that particular condition, either 20 years or an indefinite, that it must remain a truck parking facility and if the owner, Mr. Nasir, or a future owner decides to change that, they would have to bring it back to the council.
Mr. Nasir, are you willing to utilize the word indefinitely?
Years, I do agree with council
All right,
member.
can we compromise and do 30 years?
Deal.
All right, good enough. Say no more.
I agree with council
Say no
member
more.
Corona. I think
Thank you. All right, so Mayor Pro Tem, would you amend your motion to
Yes.
30 years?
Yes, I would amend the motion to a 30-year covenant.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rabb, second by Councilwoman Rogers.
May I clarify, Mayor?
Yes.
So this is the alternate language approving the mitigated neg deck, the resolution, and introducing the ordinance for the zone change on the condition that it includes a covenant with a 30-year covenant remaining as truck parking.
That's exactly what we
Yes.
said.
Thank you.
All right, the second is by Councilwoman Rogers. Call a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Rogers?
Yes.
Councilmember Nava?
No.
Councilmember Corona?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb?
Yes.
Mayor Vargas?
Yes.
Rabb, Vargas, Rogers, yes. Corona, Nava, no.
Thank you. Okay, item 12 is our business items not requiring public hearings. 12A is consideration to approve the fiscal year 2020-2021 year-end review and fiscal year 2021-2022 budget amendments. This will be introduced by our Deputy City Manager, Mr. Ernie Reyna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. So today I have before you a wrap-up of the previous fiscal year that just ended. These are unaudited, so until our audit's actually completed, we won't have final numbers, but these numbers are as close as they can be with staff's considerations in here. These numbers are revised from what you have in the staff report. We've actually had some numbers come in after the fact that the staff report was turned in, so I have some good news to show you as we go through these reports. So they'll be broken up into two phases. The first phase, we'll go back and take a look at fiscal year 2021 that just ended, and then we'll go forward through 21-22 and look at some amendments that we have to do that weren't captured originally in the budget. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through those right now. So where we ended up for 2021 with revenues and expenditures. So initially, the staff report, I believe, indicated about 53 million in revenue. So I'm happy to report and pleased to report that the revenues are closer to 59 million. So there was an additional $6 million that was not included in the original staff report that actually closed up to be higher, with expenditures of about $49.2 million, which sees us at a surplus of 9.9 million. And of course, this surplus goes into what we call fund balance or reserves, and that actually increases our reserve levels to go up higher. And a note on there is that the city over the previous year lost about $2.2 million in sales tax revenue, and that's significant because we still ended up in a positive atmosphere. And it's to note that from the previous year before, we actually lost $2.2 million just on the sales tax revenue, but still ended up in positive. So I wanted to indicate to you where that was at. And as well as having some expenditures reduced, and simply because we were in the COVID times, expenditures were about $5 million less than the previous year. So that was significant because we weren't able to spend on a lot of programs. And there's actually additional increases from cannabis revenue. So we'll go over that as well. So that not all is pretty significant. So I mentioned reserves and I mentioned where we stand with that. So coming into this previous fiscal year before we ended, we were about $42.7 million in reserves. So by adding that $9.9 million, our reserves actually now go up to $52.7 million. So that's fantastic. So the percentage of revenues, reserves to revenues is now at 89%, and we're only required to keep 35%. So we're actually way above the amount of reserves that we need to. So again, $52.7 million in reserves, and that's where we stand as of now. So to compare revenues actual versus budgeted, the red bar there you can see is where we had our budget amount set to $52 million for revenues. So when we closed out, the green bar there you can see is $59 million. So we did increase our revenue by $7 million, which is fantastic. And again, the major points, and we'll go over this part as well, the major increases were in the areas of cannabis, which actually was a lot higher than we anticipated, construction permit fees, as well as sales tax revenues, which we'll go over as well. But you can see $7 million over budget, which is fantastic. And something to note is that we'll officially be audited and done with this prior to calendar year end. So these numbers will be official by the end of the calendar year, December 31st. So I want to jump into kind of the numbers for 2021 and what you see where we highlighting some certain line items where we finished higher, where we finished lower than expected. And if you turn your attention down to the bottom where that red circle is at, that's the cannabis taxes down there. So initially when the budget was approved, we actually approved it at 2.2 million. We actually increased that to 2.5, which you see here. And then where we actually finished was more like $5.8 million. So that increase was about $3.3 million, as you can see here. So to close the year, the cannabis taxes at $5.8 million, which is a great way to subsidize the general fund, which we wouldn't have before. So that was kind of what carried us through the year, was having those cannabis taxes there. Some of the other places that increased higher than we anticipated for budget, if you look at property taxes, that second line on there, about $1.6 million higher than we anticipated on the budget. Excuse me, and then construction permits were somewhere else where we were higher than we anticipated. So we had budgeted 2.4 million. We're looking at 3.755 million, so an increase of 1.3. There are some other areas that I kind of want to just bring to your attention that were lower than we anticipated on the budget. Some of those were recreation fees and donations, but that's to be expected when you had COVID. We couldn't get out and actually do those type of things. Fines and forfeitures, and then interest. So interest levels not being at where they were, we just weren't able to recoup interest back to where we were. So if you look down on the bottom, budget was set to 52 million. Actuals came through at 59 million. So we're actually up, there's the $7 million down at the bottom. We finished higher than anticipated, so that's great news. We're 13% in total. Shifting our attention over to the year-over-year totals for revenues. The blue bar there indicates the prior fiscal year, which was 1920, or July 1st, 2019 through June 30th of 2020, comparing that to the yellow bar, which is the current year that just wrapped up of June 30, 2021. Revenues were actually up $2 million. $2 million from the previous year. And again, it's important to note that the sales tax actually went down, and there was a big factor because of that. If you recall, an e-commerce type of business that we no longer receive 100% of that funding. So we took a significant loss on that, but we were still able to recover most of that amount, partially through the sales tax, but also through the cannabis tax as well, and then in some other areas as well. So we actually ended up higher than the previous year. So that's a great tribute to the way that we've constructed our revenue. So we're pretty well balanced, and I'm happy to report that we did pretty well with that. And it's to say that our sales tax consultant actually said we were going to lose about $5 million in sales tax revenues, but the actual loss was more like 2.2. But in total, all the line items actually increased by $2 million over the prior year. So if that makes sense, we actually finished up higher. So, and then again, this is just a comparative look of prior year, 1920 to 2021 on the revenues itself, where we finished, how we did. Again, 1920, we ended the year in revenues for the general fund at 57.3. For 2021, we ended at 59.1. And you can see some of the areas where we increased our revenues at, and you can see the sales and use tax actually was down $2.2 million. Again, that was because of the e-commerce that we didn't get all in return, but we still made a great comeback on that. And down on the bottom, from the previous year, we increased our cannabis revenue about $2.8 million. So that almost kind of nets out, but as you can see, from the prior year, we increased our revenues $1.8 million, or 3%. Now shifting our attention over to expenditures and how we did there. So looking at the budget, we had set a budget out of expenditures of about $54 million. Again, due to COVID, we weren't able to spend a lot of that money, so staff did a great job containing those costs and where they could, and then a lot of the programs just weren't being spent. So we actually were $5 million under budget for expenditures. So red bar indicates where the budget was at. The blue or purple bar indicates what the actual dollar amounts were spent, for $49 million. And then looking year over year, prior fiscal year, 1920 versus the one that we just closed, 2021, we're actually about $9 million under from the prior year. Wow. But it's good. It's important to note that in 1920 we made that pension payment. So if you recall, about $14.7 million. That's really the reason why that number is a lot higher. In 1920 of $58 million. So you take that out, we're pretty comparable. But again, we kept those costs under control. But it's a good comparative just to look at and see where we stood. One of the other things I want to bring to your attention are the enterprise funds. These are the water, the sewer, the solid waste. And as you can see, most of them do not look good. And as you may recall, the general fund does subsidize these year over year. And we wanted to show you how these particular funds did. So we grouped the water in the south and north differently, but even if you look at them that way and combine them, there's still a loss. Between the two is about $500,000 in the water. And the sewer is another $500,000, almost $600,000 there. Solid waste is actually the only one that made money. So in total, when you look at these enterprise funds in aggregate, we lost about $860,000. So again, the general fund feeds the enterprise that money, and we go from there and make that transfer. But they did lose money for the year. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So that concludes that portion of the wrap up for 2021. And now I'm going to go into the 21-22 budget. And these are items that either just didn't make it to the budget, got missed, or something that needed to get included. So I wanted to bring these to your attention as well and go over these amounts. And so as a recap of where we stand, revenues aren't changing for this year. They stood at $56.7 million, but we are increasing some expenditures in the general fund by a little bit. So that's about the same amount. So we're coming out about even, and this is before we do any kind of revenue adjustments for the current year. And we won't have those figures really until February. When we do the mid-year, we'll have a better understanding of where we're standing at for revenues, how that's looking. So as of right now, we're pretty much flush even for the fiscal year. And this expenditure amount includes what I'm about to show you. So it shows that we're still in a balanced form as we go forward. So first, in the general fund, the one item I want to bring to your attention is for the IT department, this contract services. There was a line item for department security services, which includes bay alarm, so the alarms that we have in the cities. So that amount didn't actually get put into the budget. It was just missed. So it could have been finance end, whatever. It just didn't make it to the budget. And again, this is for contractual services for bay alarm, so the city can have its alarms system and whatnot, and the monthly services going forward. So we need to add $80,000 to the general fund for that line there. The rest are all ins and outs. It's just moving around payroll for a position that was reclassed. And so all we're doing is we're taking the payroll from where it was and putting it over to the departments that it needs to be charged to. So when you look at the positives and minuses, those all net out to zero. But because there's a change, I wanted to bring it to council so we can reclass that particular payroll for both the salaries and benefits. But the net change is zero. So when you look at the general fund in total, we are increasing by $80,000. But again, that's for that one item that just was never included with the budget. So I wanted to bring that to the council's attention. And then once we have better numbers, firmer numbers on revenues, we'll bring those forward in February as we do the mid-year and kind of give you an idea of where we stand so we can do some more projections and go forward from there. The rest are going to be not in the general fund, but special revenue funds. And if you recall, special revenue funds are self-sufficient in that they produce their own set of revenues. It doesn't impact the general fund. And for this one, these are housed in the public works. And these include stuff like benefit zones, landscape maintenance districts, those type of things. So there was a list of items that needed to get included with the budget that just didn't make it. There might have been some time constraints, there might have been some items, whatever the case may be, but it didn't make it into the budget. And so there's a list of items here. I'll just quickly go over these that we like to include into the budget so they have proper funding within those light flood control districts, those landscape maintenance districts, those type of things. They just need to have enough money to be able to do the contractual services type of thing that they need. So as you can see there, I'll take the first one for example. It's a contract service, and that's for the flood control district. They need an additional not an additional, that was supposed to be in the budget. They need $300,000 in there to operate. Ground maintenance needs $609,000, and then the landscape maintenance needs $100,000. And then going over to contract services, they need $300,000, and then the rest are all going to be landscape maintenance districts, as you can see, ground maintenance, annexation costs, field equipment. So various amounts from $973,000, $25,000, and $136,000. And then wrapping up, these are a few more. These are related to the streetlight funds that we have, and these are amounts needed to operate the streetlights. As you can see, there's some contractual services related to Riverside County for $50,000, Interwest services for contract services of $10,000, and then finally field equipment for regulatory and traffic signages of $60,000. So all in total, in the special revenue fund, they need to be increased by $2.5 million. Again, the revenues are in there, in that particular special revenue fund to offset this, so we're not adding anything to the budget that they can't support. These are self-sufficient. So when we add in the special revenue fund of 2.5 plus the 80,000 the general fund, in total, we're adding to the budget an additional 2.6 million that did not make it into the original budget. So we're just asking that that get put in there so they can continue the operations as they need to be. And that concludes my report. So what staff is asking that council go ahead and approve the prior year review that we just conducted, and then the budget amendments for fiscal year 21-22. And if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those for council.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy City Manager. This was a very good report by far. Before I open up public comments, anybody have any questions or comments for clarification?
Yes.
Councilman Corona?
Okay, Mr. Rayner, I know with the last time you were here, you gave a great presentation and all the numbers look great, and now it looks like the numbers are even better. Specifically, you kind of put a lot of focus on the cannabis that we saw an increase. At that time, I remember it was about 4 million,
Yes.
and that was 7% of our revenue. What
Right.
percentage is it at now?
It increased. I don't have that number. I'll bring it back to you.
Okay.
I want to finalize that, and then I'll bring it back in the reports where we can know. But if it was 4 million before, now we're more like 5-6 million. So it probably is closer to 10% now.
10% of our revenue.
Yeah, it's getting up there. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see anybody else in the queue, so at this time, I'm going to open up public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Very good. Then I will call for a motion to approve the fiscal year 2020-2021 year-end review and fiscal year 2021-2022 budget amendments. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rab, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call a roll call vote.
Councilmember Rogers?
Yes.
Councilmember Nava?
Yes.
Councilmember Corona?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb?
Yes.
Mayor Vargas?
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, item 13, council communications. Councilman Corona.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I did attend the Harvest Festival. I know staff did a great job, but they were kind of maybe a little skeptical whether it was going to be attended. But it was way more people than I think even they anticipated. It was just a great event. Kids were out there, just playing the little, mini carnival games and stuff like that. Just nice, safe, family-friendly environment. So great job from our staff as always for putting events, and they're all set for the holiday season with all those events that we have coming up. And then at the same time, the next day, I joined the YAC and also Paris High Key Club and Paris High Interact Club with about 25 youth people with a couple adults in there. And, just a great time. We were just shoveling up the sand with the volleyball court and cleaning up all the trash and finding, unfortunately, finding beer bottles and cigarette things. So it's actually interesting that you have the kids cleaning up after a mess of a few adults. So, but it was a great thing, and they got community service hours as well, too, and the mayor joined as well, too, and several staff members here, too. So it's just a great event. If staff could talk to the, specifically the Paris High School District about, with regards to the safety measures after school. A few days I'm able to leave out of work early, and it's just hectic when so many high school kids are running across the streets, of busy what are busy roads.
You think, and those are your students.
Well, I can't, I can't punish them, I guess. But yeah, I do work at the school, but I don't think it's my place to make those calls. So if we could have those. Just start a conversation of how to make it safer. I know Rancho Verde, they had this fencing in the median, in the center median, and maybe like to see in that would help prevent it, because it's just a matter of time before someone gets hurt, and just never a good thing. A quick PSA for our residents: as the weather gets wetter, it's important that you focus on your be more safe when you're driving. I've seen several accidents here and there, and it seems like it's being caused when, especially when it was raining and the roads are wet. I do want to thank Mr. Segovia for bringing the concerns of the lack of lighting in the area of Dunlap and San Jacinto. It's an area that's not really developed too well, but there are plenty of cars that travel through those roads, and this is very, very dark. Yep. And if we could see what we could do about maybe talking with the county, because I know at that corner it's basically the city of Paris and where the county meets, and potentially talking about that, making it safer. And I did have some concerns from the residents of Highland Vista. That's a mostly senior community off A Street. And what they were saying was that just people were out there just riding off-road vehicles all over, up in the hills over there. So if we could talk to the sheriffs and code enforcement about enforcing that over there. And lastly, our hearts go out to the family of Nancy Tacano, who was a mother of our own Congressman Mark Tacano, who passed away October 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nava.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, just thank you to our public comment speakers. It's always great to hear from our residents here at our council meeting. I also wanted to go ahead and just see if there's anything staff could do regarding the parking of trucks, right? So in today's agenda item, and I don't want to get into it since we've already passed that item, but I just want to note that this one truck stop terminal that we're adding will not alleviate the unpermitted truck parking that is available. And wanted to note that what was passed was for mostly trailers. There wasn't anything in there that mentioned that it was strictly for truck parking. So while we see those trucks parked in our neighborhoods, just imagine how safe that is for our residents, and especially the holiday that's coming up, trick-or-treating, right? So something that we have to deal with here in the city of Paris, because we do have a large influx of warehouses. So if something we could have staff kind of look into or draft some kind of ordinance or statement regarding the need for warehouses to rectify this issue. We all know that they're concerned with maximizing their square footage for purposes of profits. However, we are a city with residents, and my role up here is to kind of account for that and make sure that we have safe communities where people are able to, enjoy their livelihoods without the concerns of what other neighborhoods don't have to deal with. So that's something that I wanted to go ahead and point out and see if there's something we can do for that, because as far as I'm concerned, there isn't any kind of language that states that a warehouse has to account for storage, for trailers, truck parking, anything of that nature. So other than that, I don't have any comments for tonight, so thank you all so much. Take care.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes, after our last meeting, I never expected to end up in the hospital for over 9 days. But I'm able to participate tonight because we did pass that resolution to be able to continue Zoom meetings. So it's just an example of why it is very important to continue with that resolution, to continue with the Zoom meetings, just so we do have situations like I experienced myself. So I just want to thank my colleagues for passing that resolution. And I want to thank everyone who did pray for me while I was in the hospital and sent so many well wishes and flowers and cards and things. So that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, duly noted, and you're a trooper for hanging in there, and we wish you to get a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I'd like to thank staff for hosting the Gear Up event this past Saturday. Myself, Mayor Vargas, City Manager Miramontes, Deputy City Manager Reyna, and a lot of other staff attended. It was a 9-mile loop around Lake Paris. It was very cold that morning, but we all soldiered through and did it. So once again, thanks staff for a well put on event. We had about approximately 40 to 50 people attend. I just want to, as we close out the month of October, just want to note that October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you have an issue of domestic violence, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 800-799-SAFE, S-A-F-E. Once again, 1-800-799-SAFE. And the Riverside County District Attorney Office hosts Safe Family Justice Centers. That number is 951-955-6100. Once again, 951-955-6100. Just a few issues around the city. The lines over the bridge that starts on 4th Street and merges with Redlands and goes over the 215 freeway over to the other side of Redlands. Those lines have kind of worn out over the last few years and need to be repainted. The tree, and I know we approved a maintenance agreement with Caltrans, I believe it was December 2019, outlining who was responsible for that. And also the trees at the library across the street. I know we also entered into an agreement with the county regarding maintenance. The trees need to be trimmed along with the collection bins. If we could refurbish those bins where you place the books in to collect the books for the library, need to be refurbished as well. Just want to also just impress upon staff as we move forward with future projects, think about walkability in terms of some of the track maps we're developing, some of the potential track maps we're approving. I know several of the consent calendar items, we weren't approving the track maps per se, we were approving different bonds and different financing aspects of that. But I see the track maps, if we can consider opening up some of the track maps more for walkable communities. For instance, a lot of times you'll have a community where there'll be one exit in, and then there'll be a retaining wall around the street, and there'll be an elementary school or middle school right next door. And rather than opening up pedestrian access for the students, they have to go half a mile, quarter mile away. And I really think that creating walkable communities will be a major step in combating the obesity epidemic. It's a shame that over 2/3 of Americans are obese in today's society. Part of that is because the food's poisoned, and no one really wants to mention that, but a lot of that is because there's not walkable communities. People are just not conducive. Things are just not conducive to walking. So walkable communities in terms of driveways, in terms of turning out signals, a lot of times we make it more accessible for cars and not making it more accessible for people. So a prime example of that is if you're going down A Street, there's Red Oak or Red Maple, I believe the street is, and this was approved 30, almost 40 years ago. You're walking down A Street, running down A Street, there's a wide, approximately 40 to 50 feet driveway going into that community between A and B Street. Now, is that walkable for the children walking from Pendicati or the children walking from other elementary schools? So as we move forward, I think it's imperative, it's important that we put the pedestrian access, bicycle access, and other access at the forefront of developing various commercial, industrial, and residential projects. With that, I want to wish everyone a happy Halloween. Stay safe. Be extra vigilant regarding traffic, regarding people handing out candy as we move forward into the holiday season. Happy Halloween.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I don't want to repeat stuff, but the Harvest Festival was an excellent turnout, and I just want to thank CS Community Services for another great community event, and also Public Works for their quick setup and quick tear down. It's amazing to see all what was up and then drive back the next morning, and you wouldn't know there was an event there. So we truly appreciate our staff. I attended the Paris Valley Filipino American Association. It's always good eating over there with those Filipinos. They had their first family gathering since the pandemic, and the theme was Goodbye COVID. It was a very nice event. Attended the Manatee State of the City address along with staff, our Deputy City Manager, Mr. Reyna, our Director of Planning Division, Mr. Kenneth Fung, Michelle Ogawa, our Manager of Economic Development, and Armando Panchi, I believe it's coordinator, program coordinator. What's his title? Excuse me? Management Analyst. Very good. Moving up. All right. I was honored to do the towing costs for the inaugural CMI Rough Riders Penacati Pumas A Street Middle School Football Bowl, which was held at your high school, at the Paris High School football. This was a friendly competition between the two junior high schools. I'm talking tackle football. It's an 8-man team, so it's a little shorter version of the full field. Winner took home a very nice football trophy and bragging rights, and the losing principal must wear the winning school T-shirt. So it's a really pretty cool event to have that they just started. I was very honored to attend and meet Mr. Richard Glenn Rutten, also known as Dick Rutten. He's a retired United States Air Force officer and fighter pilot, test pilot, and the record-breaking aviator who in 1986 piloted the Voyager aircraft on the first non-stop, non-refuel, around-the-world flight with co-pilot Jenna Yeager. He was born locally here in California, Loma Linda. He and his older brother, a famous aerospace designer, Burt Rutten, whose many earlier original designs Dick piloted on class record-breaking flights, including the Voyager. This voyage was 9 days, 33 minutes and 44 seconds, non-stopping for fuel. They were just flying for 9 days. Basically, it's a 216-hour flight. As an elected official, I can't handle 4 hours to Washington, D.C. This guy flew for 216 hours. And as our Mayor Pro Tem Gear Up bike event, I did the 9 miles, and I paid for it for 3 days after that. I was on an e-bike, and I think it was more pedaling than e, so. Definitely agree with you on that striping. I thought we reported this already on that 4th Street overpass, Redlands, whatever it is, on both sides. It is bad. So we can look into that, Mr. City Engineer. And the trash bin for Casa, well, it's not just for Casa Jimenez, but it's nearby Casa Jimenez, Code, whoever represents Code Enforcement. We need to take a look at that. It's a real mess, and I'm not dinging Casa Jimenez. I love the restaurant, but I guess it's just over the years and the amount of businesses and that are on there too. They're overwhelming. I think it's only designed for one trash bin, and they got 2 other trash bins. It's not a nice site. So we need to get that addressed with the property management if we can. And totally agree, lastly, with Mayor Pro Tem, the idea about the walkable communities, but as a former law enforcement, I'm concerned that it's egress and for our burglars and what have you. I support the idea as long as we add in there that we got to install cameras to monitor those points. But he is definitely right. Some of these kids have to walk around literally, and some of our people are just always on foot, walking. So got to have cameras. Great idea. Just put some cameras as well. Okay, that is it. We are going to item 14, our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'd like to update you that the City of Paris COVID testing site remains open Thursday through Sunday. Appointments and walk-ins are allowed and available. The Youth Advisory Council is hosting a trunk or treat this Friday, October 29th at 6:30 p.m. at the Paris Depot, located at 120 West 4th Street. Next, the Veterans Day Parade is back this year, It will be held on Saturday, November 6th at 10 a.m., and the route is along the downtown D Street, beginning at 6th Street, ending here at the City Hall campus. And last but not least, I'm very happy to announce that a new business, the Aldi grocery store, is finally opening its doors on November 18th. So exciting news. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, folks, we're down to that last item, unfortunately. It's our adjournment time, item 15. Tonight, we will be adjourning in honor, or in memory, excuse me, of Miss Darlene Still, longtime resident, dear friend of mine and some of our staff members here as well, in particular the senior center. She unfortunately passed away October 14th. And then, of course, for our dear friend, our local representative from Washington, D.C., Mr. Congressman Mark Takano, on the loss of his mother, Nancy Takano, who passed away on October 23rd. So in memory of both those fine ladies, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you. Have a good evening. We'll see you at our next meeting.